Hey, welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Doug back again. Feels like it's been months since I've done one of these videos, but really it hasn't been that long. I hope everybody out there had a wonderful Christmas and New Year's, and best of the new year. It's going to be a good one. Uh, as it seems like, as always with every end of the year, it seems like we lose kind of a bunch of high-profile people, and this year seems to be really tough on the music world. We lost Lemmy from Motorhead while I was away, and Natalie Cole, and just seemed like it was one after the other practically every other week. And then, of course, most recently, David Bowie is the big one, which there's just been a flood of tributes all over the internet, and well deserved. Not really a major fan of him as an artist myself, so I haven't kind of jumped in on it, just been kind of watching all the tributes roll out. I got some records I could show, of course, all the well-known ones that everybody's seen. So there it is. Huge influence on the rock world, though. I can definitely appreciate people's feelings on his passing. But some music to show you today. I got a few new subscribers since last time, so thanks for hanging out with me here, as always. I was away in Arizona. I was talking a bit about how I couldn't find any music down there. I did finally manage to find a couple of things. I couldn't even find a decent radio station to listen to there. There was a couple of Spanish stations I was kind of checking out, but I got voted down on that pretty quick in the car. But CDs, I found one by Etta James on MCA, kind of 20 tracks on here, a lot of the well-known ones, At Last, Tell Mama, and just kind of goes chronologically. Kind of funny how it goes from, she goes from kind of one of those mannered, very jazz-inflected blues singers to the kind of full-throttle, balls-to-the-wall singer she became later on as it goes along. Another CD, Gets Gilberto. Ironically, the LP, the first Gets Gilberto, I found that the last time I was in Arizona. Nice condition DJ copy. And I also found two LPs at the Goodwill down there. One by Nancy Sinatra. How does that grab you? This is one of her very early ones. Looking very sultry there. That's on the Tricolor Reprise. Yeah, it's got, I think she just hit with Boots because the LP was on there. Actually, they put one of those stickers on the cover, so I couldn't remove it without ripping a tiny little piece of the cover there. Nice to add that to the Sinatra collection. That's produced by Lee Hazelwood again. A couple of touches psych, as in the vein of Some Velvet Morning on there. Also, and the vinyl on that one is extremely good condition. And this one was also there. I flipped by this at first, and then I grabbed it. Blue Ridge Rangers. Got the hype sticker on there. This is John Fogerty's project after the breakup of CCR. That's on Fantasy label. And this thing is screaming mint, still in shrink. Vinyl looks pretty much unplayed. So this is him in more of a straight country mode. There's a few tracks on here that have more of that classic CCR sound. So very happy to score that. Don't think I've ever seen it before. And some pickups right before I went away for the holidays. I've been wanting this one for a while. Never really found a copy that was in good enough condition at the right price. But this time I found it in a record store. Otis and Carla, King and Queen. That is on the Canadian Stax label. I'm sure you all know this one. It's all cover versions of classic soul hits of the day by other people. Knock on Wood, Tell It Like It Is, When Something's Wrong with My Baby. A lot of Sam and Dave on there. And of course probably the big known song on here is Tramp, which I never really noticed the drums in the intro of that one until I heard it on vinyl. So cover a little beat up on that one, but the vinyl's quite good. It was pretty cheap. And at the same time I got this one, Ike and Tina, So Fine. This is from late 60s. It's on the Pompeii label. It's their typical kind of hyperkinetic R&B. You know, Tina's a force of nature on that one. They were cranking albums out pretty fast and loose in those days, which Quality of the material maybe is not the greatest on there, but if you like their sound, that's what you get on there. Got this one, Aaron Neville, Like It Tis. Just spun this the other day, and I was surprised how what an old classic R&B sound it had for a record that came out in, I think, '67 it was. But looking into it a bit further, this was a compilation of songs that were recorded in the very early '60s, '60 to '63, kind of to cash in on his hit song at the time, Tell It Like It Is, which is not on this LP. But very beautifully sung album on here, very nice. I've heard it's produced by Alan Toussaint, although the only actual credit to him on here is a co-writing credit on the first track, Over You. But beautiful album, very, very nice. Happy to pick that one up. I got this one, Dennis Wilson, Pacific Ocean Blue, add to the Beach Boys collection. I had this one on the CD reissue that came out several years ago, a 2-disc version with unreleased tracks from the proposed second album. It's on Columbia, includes the inner. And this is kind of got that classic Beach Boys sound to one extent, which is not surprising. It's sort of got the extended Beach Boys family on here. Hal Blaine, the famous drummer's on here, but also Ricky Fataar and Bruce Johnston. And the album design is by, and the photos on the inside are from Dean Torrance of Jan and Dean, longtime friend of the band. Beautiful album. It's got, like I said, it's got that kind of classic 70s Beach Boy harmony sound. Also a bit of funk on there on the title track and one other one. And kind of some mini orchestral suites, I guess you would say, which is kind of more Brian's trademark. But he employs it very well also. Lovely album. Getting into some reggae, I got a few mail order bits and bobs here. First one's a 12-inch single. It's a reissue on, this came on the, it's on the Basic Replay label out of Europe. This is a reissue of Ija Man Levi's song, I Am a Levi. The song was, originally, it came out on his debut album called Hail I Him, which was on Island Records in the '70s. Very classic, essential album. It's been compared to Van Morrison's Astral Weeks, kind of a reggae version of that, in that there's only 4 songs on it, on the LP, and very heavily orchestrated, very reflective, very meditative, kind of mystical. He's again one of those 70s reggae roots singers who was kind of marching to the beat of his own drummer, had his own kind of more reflective sound than what was typical at the time. But this is actually a very rare original version of that song that was recorded before the LP. Which the original of that would be very, very difficult and expensive to get. Another 12-inch reissue. This one is by Prince Hammer. It's a song called 10,000 Lions on the Kingston Connection label out of France, I believe. I showed a Prince Hammer album called Bible probably a few videos back. This is a bit later, early 80s I think, this maybe late 70s this one hit. Classic song from him in which he not only sings but DJs. Getting into a couple of LPs. Got one by Prince Farai. This is called Psalms for I. This is actually his debut album. It came out about 1975. This is a reissue on the DKR Records label out of Brooklyn. It's come out on a couple other labels before that, previously. But Prince Farai was a DJ, that is the Jamaican version of a rapper. But he preferred to be called a chanter. He didn't. He had kind of a unique style that was different from most of the other DJs out at the time, who were into, you know, a lot of clever wordplay and boasting about their prowess at the mic and you know, catchy phrases to make people dance. He was not like that. He had started out as a bouncer, kind of an enforcer guy. He was a physically intimidating man. Had a very deep, gruff voice on record. So he turned his voice to strictly righteous topics, as you can probably tell from the title of the album, Psalms for I. The lyrics are entirely taken from Psalms, the book of Psalms in the Bible, set to reggae rhythms. And that is his forte that he did. They called him the Voice of Thunder. He would go on to record a classic album called Under Heavy Manners shortly after this one, which was a big hit for him. Later he made some inroads into the UK market, did some albums for Virgin Records, and struck up an association with Adrian Sherwood of On You Sound fame, the famous producer, or well known in Britain anyway. In 1983, Prince Far I was shot and killed in a dispute over money from a dance, robbing the reggae world of a major talent. Got one other LP here. This is a very new reissue that just came out on the Dugout label. Actually, says that on there. This is by a group called Mabrak. That's basically the creation of a guy called Leroy Mattis. It's a very obscure album. I'd never even heard of this before this reissue came out and started getting some good word of mouth. Leroy Mattis, he was a drum student. He knew Tommy McCook, lived 2 doors down from him in the early 60s. He'd studied drums, the African talking drum style at university in Washington, D.C. Came back to Jamaica, formed this group, started entering drumming competitions, going up against such Jamaican drum luminaries as Count Ossie and Cedric Brooks's Light of Saba group. And that is basically very drum, very percussion heavy with a few kind of loose DJ spoken style vocals to spice things up over a selection of reggae rhythms of the time. Very good album. Last up for you, this is another reissue that just came out. Hugh Mundell, Black Man's Foundation. I think this one is from very early 80s, maybe late 70s. It's on the Shanachie label, which it came on originally in the US. This is co-production with Augustus Pablo. Hugh Mundell was closely associated with Augustus Pablo, which some of you might have heard of him. Melodica instrumentalists, producer, worked with King Tubby a lot for the classic dub albums like King Tubby Meets the Rockers Uptown. Rockers was kind of Augustus Pablo's label and record shop. And him and Mundell were more like artistic equals. Pablo would have a lot of singers that would come in and voice for him. Mundell was more of an artist in his own right, who was moving into self-production. Didn't record a whole lot of albums. Pretty much everything he put out is excellent. He put out the classic Africa Must Be Free by the year 1983 album, which is an essential reggae album. But pretty much everything he put out is excellent. I might almost even like this one more than that. It's got the hype sticker on here. Mundell would also mentor a lot of up-and-coming artists. Junior Reid was one that he had a strong connection with, pushing him to get into the music industry. There's a quote from him on the hype sticker Reid says, "Him was me brethren, me godfather, Mundell used to encourage I every day." And Junior Reid later on in the 80s would go on to become the lead singer of Black Uhuru, who would win the first reggae Grammy. Mundell didn't make it past the year 1983. He was shot and killed in a dispute over a fridge is kind of the typical explanation that's given. I read an interview the other day with Junior Reid where he goes into more detail. He claims that he was in the back of the car. What happened was Mundell had gotten in a confrontation with a man who was stealing some stuff out of his house, basically, household items. And he confronted this man and took him down to the police station and turned him over to the police to press charges. And 2 days later, Mundell was driving around town with his wife in the passenger seat, and Junior Reid was in the back seat. And they were flagged down in the street by this man who turned out to be the brother of the man who was in jail. And he confronted them, demanding that his brother be let out of jail. Mundell refused, and this man pulled a gun out of his waistband. Mundell tried to gun the car and get away, but a shot went off and hit him in the head, and he was killed. And that was the end of another major talent. Again, it's kind of a depressing theme that seems to run through Jamaican music. There's one thing I want you guys to take away from these videos is that it's not all sunshine and parties on the beach. There's a lot of darkness, a lot of grim and gritty stuff that goes on behind the scenes. All right, guys. On that note, sorry about the downer. I've got a few more digs that I've just done that I'm going to get to next video. I'd like to give them a spin and have some thoughts to share with you guys first before I show them in video. So that's all I've got for you, and thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Peace, guys. Talk soon.